Okay, guys, in this video, I'm going to show you some advanced strategies how to handle objections, because in the last video I showed you how to take the ad call, but now, again, not everybody is going to say yes on the first offer. Most people are going to want more for the phone than what it's really worth. So I'm going to show you a few different scenarios how to handle that objection. And typically, my closing average personally, when I take an ad call, is about 7 to 8 out of 10, which means for every 10 calls I get, I usually close 7 to 8 out of 10. Now, that's a very high closing average. If you can close even 4 out of 10, you're doing very, very well. But it's going to take a little bit of practice, and I'll show you in this video how you can handle some of those. And the better you get at this stuff, the better at closing you're going to be. Now, a couple things before we get into the objections, very important. Even better, more important than knowing how to overcome objections is knowing how to overcome them before you even get them, which means knowing how to appraise well and make offers correct. Because no matter how good you are with negotiating, if you don't make a correct offer to them and a correct appraisal, then everything else is not going to be any good. Because if your price genuinely is way lower than everybody else in your area, you're probably going to lose those deals. So for example, if it's a $400 phone and you're offering people $150 on it because you think it's only going to sell for $300 or something, you didn't appraise it right, you're going to lose those deals no matter how good of a negotiator you are, period. So I'm going to go on this assuming that you're very good at your appraisals, you're really accurate, and you know how to make an offer correctly to be at the right point. Because really, that's like 60 to 70% of it right there is just really being good at your appraisals and nailing the offers properly. Okay, now the rest of it is being friendly and handling the objections properly. So let's get into that. So Kevin, we're going to do a call. We'll start off kind of like it's a basic call, but then I want you to give me some basic objections, okay?
Okay.
All right, so thank you for calling Buy Sell Fix.
Hi, are you guys still buying cell phones?
Yes, we are.
All right, great. I have a Galaxy S7 Edge that I'd like to sell.
Okay, Galaxy S7 Edge.
Yep.
And what carrier is that for, Kevin?
That's Sprint.
Sprint. Okay, great. And any problems with it or anything? Is it good condition?
It works fine. It's the minor crack on it. Other than that, it's good to go, though.
Okay, so there is a crack on it. Now, does the screen work?
Oh, the screen's fine, yeah.
Okay, great. So that's a Galaxy S7 Edge, just to confirm, and it has a cracked screen, but the display works fine.
Yep.
All right, give me 1 second. Let's see. So on that, I could do $40.
You said 40?
Yes.
Oof, it's a little bit less than I was hoping for.
What were you looking to get?
I was hoping to get like $100.
The problem is, Kevin, is I definitely like to give you the $100, but as a reseller, I'm sure you know we have to make a profit on the items, correct? And yeah. Right now, if you were to go sell that on have you tried selling it yourself yet?
I was thinking about it, but I mean, if I could sell it to you, it's obviously a lot easier.
Sure, because I'm offering fast cash. If I was to sell it on eBay, where I do sell phones, I'm only going to get about 110 to 120 for the phone. Is at the absolute max. I'm looking at. I see one here for 79. I see one here for 105. I see one here for 139, 129. So I might get 100, 110 around there. I might even only get 90 for it. So the problem is, if I offer you 100, I got to pay eBay their fees, which is 10%. That's like $10 on that, right?
Right.
I would probably lose money, honestly, if I was to pay you that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that's why I said 40, because it allows me to make a small profit on the item, and I can give you fast cash on it, if that makes sense for you.
All right, yeah, that makes sense. Can you do any better?
Oh, it's really tough, because I have the expenses of running a business, and we have to have a certain amount of cushion when buying these items, because there's certain problems that we can run into. If for example, the phone has another problem other than the crack that I don't know about, not saying that it does, but if it does, then I could end up losing that money. So we have to kind of have like a padding when buying to make sure that we're covered in case there's a bigger problem. So if I offer you too much, even if I'm making a small profit, I could potentially lose there as well. And I kind of went to the top on that because on 40, you know, I'm just about at the max. But I tell you what, are you able to come to me?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. If you're willing to come to me, that'll save me a little bit of time, which definitely helps. Do you know where the Wendy's is down by the Warwick Mall?
Yeah.
All right. If you can do that, you know, I tell you what, I'm happy to do an extra $10 on it for you. So I could do like 50.
All right.
That works? Okay, cool. Thanks, Kevin. I really appreciate you working with me on that. And also, if you'd like, I also buy other phones and electronics. So if you have anything like laptops, iPads, tablets, we buy everything. So feel free to bring it. Do you have anything else that you'd like to sell?
Got an old laptop I might be able to give you.
Yeah, that would be great. Why don't you bring it down? I can check it out because since you're going to sell the other phone anyways, bring it down. I'll check it out and I can give you a price right there on the spot. And if you like it, you know, I bring extra cash for you and give it to you. And if not, that's cool too. But you know, it's always worth it to just bring whatever you got down because you know I could just give you cash. You can unload some of the stuff that's just laying around.
All right.
Cool. All right. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon.
All right. Thanks.
Now, obviously, you wouldn't just hang up with the customer at that point. You'd make sure that, you know, you got the location like we did in the basic call. You make sure you know where, you know, they have a cell phone to call them and things of that nature. But the point of this video is just to go over the objections and what's going to happen there. So let's just break down a few things that I did in the call that's really important. So when Kevin had called me, so I started off with the basic script. And then when he gave me the objection, he said, oh, can you do 100? Now I know that phone is going to sell for about 110 is what I accurately appraised that at. And at 110, if I bought 100, obviously I'm not making a profit. So when he said 100, what I don't want to do is immediately jump back with an offer. So sometimes, like, let's say, for example, let's step back, Kevin, and you say, hey, can you do 100 on that? Let's pretend we're on the call again.
I was hoping for $100. Can you go that high?
I could do 50. So now, if you do something like that, because this is what people typically do, they get a little nervous, they're over anxious, they want to get the phone, so they just rush in with a counteroffer. And that's a big mistake because when you do that, that tends to make you kind of look a little bit desperate or over eager for the sale. And when you're in negotiations, you don't want to ever seem over eager. So I do what's called the stinky face, I guess people call it. When we do our coaching sessions, people say that. So when he says 100, go ahead and say that again.
Can you do 100 on it? Sounds like it's causing you physical pain.
Yeah, you want to act almost like if your best friend just asked you to move this 500-pound sofa with them tomorrow on your only day off from work while your girlfriend wanted to go out with you for the day and have fun. And it's like, you know you want to help them out, but you just don't want to do that, right? So it's like, you know you want to buy this phone, but you don't want to pay $100. It's just, so it's like, and don't be afraid to have a little bit of silence when you're a phone, because this kind of makes the customer sweat a little bit. When you're quiet, they're thinking, oh no, what's he saying? But if you're really quick to rush in with a counter offer, then they know you're just desperate for the deal and you'll do anything. And it kind of comes off as almost as an amateur business person. So take your time. Even if you have to, even if you're not thinking, just count to 5. Geez, Kevin, $100 is a little bit tough because as a reseller, I have to be able to make a profit. Now, when we're not with a customer, my mindset is this: I want to close every call that I get. Now, if you've placed a lot of ads, you're going to get a lot of calls. So what happens is sometimes people tend to rush every call when the calls are coming in a lot. And what will happen is they just want to get through each call as possible because they're looking for the deal. Every call is a deal. Some are just a little bit harder than others, but you can find a way. Like I said, I close 7 to 8 out of 10 calls. That means, where do they say they're going to think about it? Where do they say that the price is too high, that they're going to sell it themselves, that some guy down the street said they were going to sell it for more? I'm going to figure out how to close them. But the key is there's a certain process that you have to go through in order to close those people, and you have to take your time. Impatience is not your friend in closing sales or negotiating. You have to have a little patience and be willing to work the customer through this process. Because at first he wants that $100. So now if I just rush through it, so 100, I'm a reseller, I got to make profit. Can't do that, Kevin. How about 50? That's not going to work because you're just rushing through it. So what you said is it's how you say it. It's not just what you say. So does that make sense, Kevin?
Yes, the delivery.
Absolutely. So the delivery is just as important as what you're saying. So then once he says that, now he's going to say, oh, okay, well, I guess that makes sense. He's going to do one or two things. He's going to say either, okay, that makes sense, or he's going to say, oh, I still really want 100 for it. You know, I saw the prices and I really want 100. You know, in that situation, sometimes I'll have to take them right on eBay. And I'll be like, all right, Kevin, let me ask you this. Have you ever sold anything before on eBay or sold anything yourself on Craigslist?
Not often, but I have.
Okay. Because, I mean, if you really want to do it, you can sell it for $100 yourself. So, I mean, I'd be happy to give you fast cash. Like, I can make it easy for you. Can meet you right now, give you the cash in hand. But, you know, if not, you know, why don't you just sell it and make that $100, $110? Now, you might be asking, you might be saying to yourself right now, Dave, why would I tell the customer to sell it themselves? Because I know that they're not going to. That's at least 9 out of 10 people that say it aren't going to sell it themselves, because if they were, they wouldn't have called you, right? Because we know how to sell it on eBay. We wouldn't go calling someone for fast cash to sell a phone. If they knew how to sell it on eBay or Craigslist, they would already be doing it. They wouldn't be calling your ad for fast cash. So it's just a bluff. And sometimes people just want more than what they deserve. So they want to get that 100 because they see it going on eBay, they see it on Craigslist, but they know in the back of their head, that's not reality. The reality is they're going to get less what they want. But you've just got to kind of help them discover that process and work them through it. So by asking questions like, hey, have you ever sold it before on sold anything before on eBay, Kevin?
It's been a while, but I did once.
Okay, because you can definitely go through the process if you want. You know, you could probably get 100, 110 for it. I recommend that if you're trying to get the most. But if you want the fast cash, I can do it too. It's totally up to you. If you want, I can go ahead and meet you in 10 minutes and be there with the $40 and it's over with. Or you could, you try to go through the process on eBay.
Okay.
Now he's going to respond a couple ways. One, he's going to say, okay, I'll go sell it myself. You know, in that situation, you're probably not going to close the deal anyways, because if they're that confident in selling, they're just being lazy by calling you. Sometimes you're going to get that call, but very rarely. Sometimes you'll get someone, it's only 1 out of 10 people like that. That's just, they've already got it up on Craigslist. They're being lazy. They just want to get rid of it fast. That type of person you can sell, but it takes a lot of skill for that person. But more than likely, he's going to respond the other way. He's going to be like, no, I just kind of want to get rid of it, but can you do any better than 40? Now you've got to stick to your guns. Don't just be like, yeah, sure, I can do 50. You got to beat them up a little bit, because it's never the deal that they got. It's always the deal they feel that they got. So the harder that you make them work to get that price, the more they're going to appreciate it, the more the deal's going to stick. What will happen is if you rush to give them the offer that they want too fast, sometimes you'll get no-shows. What's that?
Or they're going to want more because it was too easy.
Exactly. You'll say, oh, yeah, 50, I can do that. Oh, geez, well, it is pretty good. Can you do 60? So then they own you, because they know that you're desperate, and you never want to show that. You always want to show that you're resistant. Like, make it hard, like they beat you up. So let's say I said that, Kevin, you can sell it on eBay if you want, or I can come to you and give you the cash right now. Now you try to say, can you give me a little more, something of that nature, Kevin?
Man, I was still hoping for a little bit more money. That's kind of low, man.
Ooh. So now I'm going to do the pause a little bit with them. I'm going to make them sweat it out a little. Don't be afraid. Some people think like if you pause, the customer is going to hang up. It's actually the opposite. The more you slow it down, the more people tend to hang on because they feel comfortable with you. So, geez, Kevin, I'm kind of at the top of the price range that I can offer on this. I don't have a lot of room. Now, I'm going to tell them that to stick to my guns, but then I'll find a justification for giving them a little more. See, if you can justify a reason for giving them more, it makes sense to them. So now it doesn't feel like you're desperate. So if I say something like, so Kevin, are you able to come to me at all? If Kevin wants this money bad, he's going to be willing to drive to me, and that saves me a lot of time, which it makes sense, right? It's for the customer. If he's willing to come to me, okay, that makes sense that he would give me more. So when you justify giving him a little extra, then your chances of closing the deal are much higher. You could justify it with them coming to you. Another way you could justify it is this. Do you have any other items that you want to sell? This is a great way to increase your profits. Huge, by the way, you're on your phone. You probably heard me say this a couple times, but do you have any MacBooks, tablets, laptops? Because let's say I offer them a little bit more on this one item, so I make a tiny bit less profit. Maybe I give him an extra 10 bucks, but now he sells me a laptop too that I'm going to make another 50, 60, 70 on. I just doubled my profits, and it's going to take the same amount of time. So I now went from meeting this person in 10 minutes, making $50 to now making $100 in the same amount of time, which is only 5 minutes. So that's another great way to negotiate as well, is get them to sell you some other things, and you can offer them a price profit. So I would say in this situation, so Kevin, do you have any other stuff that you'd like to sell?
I mean, I have some stuff lying around. I'm sure I could find something.
Okay, if you have something else, I could be a little bit more aggressive with the pricing, because then I'm able to make money, and it's at the same amount of time. So this saves me time, and it lets me get a little more business. And I'd like to earn your business as a customer. So if you have other stuff, tell you what, if you could sell the laptop to me as well, I can give you an extra 10 bucks on that phone. Would that be fair?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay. Now, when you're negotiating on the phone, it's very important to ask questions like that, closing questions. So when I say, would that be fair? It's very difficult to argue with that, because fair is fair, right? We know, like, oh yeah, that's fair. Makes sense. Extra 10 bucks. Okay, that's fair. So always use that line. Is that fair? Does that sound cool? Is that good for you? You want to always be asking closing questions throughout the call in order to commit your customer. Okay. Kevin, is there any questions that you can think of that you've received that I haven't covered in this video, or that you'd like to know about?
No, that was pretty spot on. That's really everything I've come up against. That's the thing I have the hardest time with at this point.
Okay. Now, sometimes you're going to get people that are going to be a little difficult, where, no matter what you say, they're going to say, I really want to do it, or this other guy offered me this price. Then I use reverse psychology on that person, or I agree with them. One thing you never want to do when you guys are negotiating with a customer is to argue with them. That's the worst thing. So when I was negotiating with Kevin here, I'm always still like on his side, kind of talking to him as a person who cares about him, or as a friend. So even if Kevin's my own friend, and Kevin was like, Dave, I want to sell my phone, I'd be like, Kevin, you can get us $100 if you want to sell that on eBay. Kevin knows I at least care about him, so there's a lot of trust there. So they're going to feel so much more comfortable doing business with me, rather than some guy when they call up on Craigslist and they answer the phone like, yeah, hello, yeah, I'd give you $100 on that. No, you can't do it. All right, well, I can't do any better. Sorry. That's your competition is sounding like that. So if you can show them that you care, even if they want to shop around, then sometimes I'll let them. If I've done everything and I can't close it, and Kevin's like, Dave, I just want to kind of look around, and I'll let you know. Yeah, no problem, Kevin. Look, I'm pretty confident, and our prices are the best in the state. So if you want to shop around, feel free. Just give me a call back. If you do find someone that beats the price, give me a call back, and I'll do everything I can to work with you on it to see if I can beat that price for you. I definitely would like to earn your business. And then Kevin says, okay. And actually, I did this the other day. Me and Kevin were doing a coaching session. Guy got on the phone, said that same exact thing. He wanted to check with his wife, because it was a phone that we were going to sell for $200. He wanted $150 for it to pay his rent, but I couldn't do the $150 because the phone was only going to sell for $200. So I offered him $100, and he said he had to check with his wife. We went back and forth, and I said, I tell you what, I'll give you $110 for it if you decide to call me back. So the guy called us literally back in how long was that, Kevin? Like 5 minutes?
Like after he got off the phone, like he called me right after that. So.
Oh, okay. So like 2 minutes then, and he called back. So, I mean, that's what's going to happen. If you treat people right and you're kind over the phone, you handle the objections properly, you're friendly, and you use closing questions, and it makes sense when you justify the objections, people will call you back too. And sometimes I'll get people, there's a lot of times I've gotten people calling back a week later. We'll battle it out in a nice way. They say no, and then a week later they're calling me back, because I always leave it on a positive note with the customer. I always say, hey, well, thank you anyways, no matter how nasty that person gets, because sometimes you're going to get nasty people too. You're going to get people that don't sound as let's say, positive and friendly to you, but your job is to convert them. Maybe they're having a bad day. Maybe they're just like that, but you don't want to be like that. You don't want to react to them. Like if they're like, yeah, what can I pay for a phone? And you get all tense and nervous, or you get anxious. You always want to be in control, slow, friendly, and that takes them down to your level, and then they're going to feel comfortable with you. Okay. So hopefully this will help you guys close some deals. Thank you, Kevin, for helping role playing with this. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
And hopefully you guys can make some good money.